All right, Mad Dog. Now I'm going to put you on the spot. Give me the Mad Dog cam. Give me the Mad Dog cam. Don't tell me you don't have the Mad Dog cam. I know we got the Mad Dog cam. All right. Okay. There it is. There it is. All right. What happened? We don't have Alina?
We do not.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, so Alina, who you tell me you were going to move to the state of New Jersey to be under her law, said Alina is now the U.S. attorney for New Jersey, which some people are saying that they moved her out of the White House. They wanted her. Other people saying it's a promotion. She may want to run for higher office within the state of New Jersey. In the meantime, we're going to wait on Kevin Sorbo. Mad Dog, let me know when Kevin Sorbo is ready, and or Brian Glenn. We'll bring either one in and both of them. All right, Kevin Sorbo is ready. Guys, before we go to that, I just want to point out there's a big, huge story circulating in D.C. right now. It's massive and growing. We're all trying to wrap our heads around what happened. So, the United States bombed Yemen a few days ago. The problem was there was an internal memo between Mike Waltz, National Security Advisor, Pete Hegseth, Department of Defense, Secretary of Defense, VP Vance was on it, and several other important players were on it. But somehow, Jonah Goldberg, the editor of The Atlantic magazine, was included on that as well. He actually got the plans prior to the bombing of Yemen. We don't know why he was on it. We don't know how he got on it. I will tell you, Jonah Goldberg is no friend of Trump's. He's a quote-unquote Republican. I call him a rhino because he is not a Republican. He calls himself a Republican. Can't stand Trump. He's got Trump derangement syndrome. I just don't know how that guy got included on the email, the internal email. Again, Department of Defense, National Security Advisor. I think Tulsi Gabbard was on that, J.D. Vance, and others, Mike Waltz. Why was this Jonah Goldberg included? We're going to find out. We're going to have to really work on it. Maybe we'll ask Bannon about it later. All right, let's bring in Kevin Sorbo. Kevin, what a great time to have you on. I appreciate your time. So much going on. We just saw the president in the East Wing honoring Greek Americans. Some of the other things that are flying around, as I pointed out, this leaked memo, very disturbing. Right? Drudge is going crazy on it because Drudge also has leaned left for some reason. I don't know if you know anything. You want to weigh in if you've heard about this? If not, we'll move on to some of the other topics that are bubbling up.
No, I heard about it casually this morning, and I'm hearing about from you right now. So I haven't really checked much about it. You caught me just off the slopes here. I'm in Park City, Utah, with my family skiing. So I got a helmet here. That's why I got to have this hat on right now. I came off the slopes just for you, sir.
Thank you. So one of the things we want to talk to you about, Kevin, is this whole this Disney film, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. It's a classic. I mean, it's been made and remade by Disney, and all of a sudden, this time around, it became a woke disaster, and we saw the box office at 43 million. Sounds like a lot, but it's a very disappointing number for Disney, especially, and how much it cost. I think it cost them $250 million to make the film, stop animation, et cetera. Disappointing, but I thought the woke was over. I thought Trump came in and they were finished, but they still decided to release this film. You're a filmmaker. What are your thoughts on this?
I think my biggest fear is if Disney's still doing this 2 years later. They've lost, $2.5 billion the last couple of years. And this movie, trust me, this is, I think, $289 million to make it. It's a type of movie with the P&A money behind it is going to need to make about $550 to $600 million just to break even. This movie will not do it. It's a total bomb. I can't remember the name of the actress in this thing, but she came out so negative about any Trump supporters. She wished everybody ill will, no peace for anybody who supported for Trump. I'm sure Disney even flipped out on her when she did that because it's such a stupid thing to say, because as Michael Jordan said when he wouldn't get political, he said, Republicans buy tennis shoes too. So for her to do this is absolutely idiotic, but she's young and she's stupid. And to me, it's just what Disney does. They want to change everything. Walt is flipping in his grave. Let's face it. He does not like at all what's happened to his name brand. And he even said back in the 1950s, movies and television will influence our youth. And he meant that good or bad. And right now we're seeing Disney, for whatever reasons, continuously wants to do bad. And it's just weird to me. I mean, I do independent movies. I would love to make 40 million on my movies, but I do for $2 million budget, but we do movies that have hope, love, laughter, faith, redemption, things Hollywood used to do. They don't want to do it anymore, but I'm going to keep doing it. I got 4 new movies coming out this year. I got 3 documentaries coming out. So I'm staying busy. I got to give a plug out for Sorbo Studios. Please go to sorbostudios.com. You just had talked about Greece. My wife and I are hosting a trip to Greece, walking the footsteps of the Apostle Paul. So join us there and join us on trip this September. Check it out. You're going to have a great time.
Always good stuff, Kevin. You and your wife, wonderful people, put out great content all over. Rachel Zegler is her name. She created a little bit of controversy when, prior to the movie being released, she said, well, it's a different type of movie because in the original, she's being stalked by a male. And it was the love story that was so compelling for young people, little boys and girls who watched and said, oh, beautiful woman, handsome man, they want to get together. And then she calls it some sort of stalking, and we're beyond the age of stalking. She's a woke nut job. And Disney tried to get her, she walked it back a little bit, but they nonetheless released it. And they didn't want to call the 7 dwarfs dwarves, so they made them animated and called them by a different name. And the guy from Game of Thrones, can't remember his name, said that's taking jobs away from small people, and it was a terrible idea. So a lot of people don't like what Disney's doing.
Well, the original dwarves they shot in the movie were not really dwarves. They're basically Antifa Portland type of actors. It was such a weird variety of these different people that they had booked in that role, and that they got a lot of backlash for that. So they held off when they released this movie because they realized that they're going to have such a backlash on it, which they did have. My biggest concern is that the liberals over in Washington D.C. are still funneling our taxpaying money under the table to make Disney keep doing what they're doing. Yeah. Or why would they keep making movies? Because their stockholders got to be flipping out as to why they want to make movies that nobody wants to see. So we'll see what happens with Disney down the road, but I am just as shocked as anybody else that I can't understand the logic behind these kind of movies, because this movie is going to completely tank. Yeah,
and like you said, the $90 million to make, to come out at $43 million on opening weekend, they're going to have a hard time. Well, maybe they'll make it back. I guess they all make them back, but it's not going to be a blockbuster hit like the other Disney movies. And Disney's was indicating that they were done with the woke madness. The one that, they fought Ron DeSantis here in the state of Florida. They got smoked. They got beat. Trump came in and won. They said woke is done. And Disney seemed like they were going to turn the corner. Couldn't they have remade whatever they shot? Couldn't they have reshot it, Kevin, to still save most of the movie and then release it with less of a left-leaning woke cancel culture vibe?
I think they had too much money involved in it already. I think they had just too much at stake with it, and they just thought we want to sink more money into this movie that we feel is not going to do well anyway, or just let it ride and hopefully it does well and streams or DVD sales. Of course, DVDs are down everywhere, but in our technological world. But I think they just looked at it and said, let's just do what we can with Damage Repair. She came out and they issued this very phony apology, which is kind of funny, but we all know she didn't mean it.
Yeah, she doesn't mean it. She's a young girl. I'm not sure where she goes with her acting career from here with her one big major moment, a flop. And then people are pushing back. I think she's Hispanic, Rachel Zegler. She has a Colombian, perhaps, I believe she is. And there was a play on, Snow White, and they were saying Disney was trying to push back on the whiteness of Snow White being, a ethnicity rather than skin color.
Oh, that's racist. Of course it's racist. So this is Disney's yet another DEI hire. And I figure next year Delta's going to get a job as a pilot for their airline. So we'll see what happens. DEI hires. All right, brother. Really good talking to you, man. I will bring you back again. And sorry I threw the little curveball about that. That I'm really, really fascinated. I got to know what happened. How Jonah Goldberg gets on the bell list. Say, why did this guy get it? I mean, you're right. He is an anti-Trumper. He's certainly a rhino. And we'll see what happens with this story as well. But once again, go to Sorbo Studios. Come join us in Greece.
Yep. Kevin, always good talking to you, my friend. Talk to you and say hello to your beautiful wife from us.
Will do.
All right, Kevin Sorbo, folks. So, Mad Dog, do we have Brian Glenn? Is he around? Is he available? All right, let's bring him in. Brian Glenn, welcome to John. I'm glad you're here. Glad to see you, my friend. So we saw that event. No questions. I thought there might be some questions, but give us a little assessment of what went on inside.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Eric. It was kind of a celebration. It was of the Greek history of, they say, the first democracy, and really President Trump talking about the support that not only Greek Americans have for this presidency, but how Greeks from all around the world support the United States and President Trump's term here in office. So it was just kind of a celebration of Greek culture, and also him laying out that today was officially Greek Independence Day here in this country. So, hey, just another example how President Trump is not only embracing world leaders, but he's also bringing in the culture. We saw that with the Shamrock with Ireland, and now we have it with Greece.
Now, did our ambassador to Greece, was she there? I know she's not been confirmed yet. I believe she's not been confirmed yet. Kimberly Guilfoyle, was she in attendance?
She was. President Trump called her on stage just for a few minutes. She spoke for about 2 minutes and just really talked about the strength of President Trump, the strength of the White House right now, and her love for Greece. So I'll check on that. I don't think she's been officially confirmed yet.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
But she is on deck.
It takes a while for them to get through all the ambassadors. They get through all the top cabinets, et cetera. But I'm not positive about it. But yeah, we'll look into it. But go ahead. I'm sorry I interrupted.
No, that's all. That she was here in attendance, and of course a rowdy crowd here in that East Room. It was packed. I would probably say more people for this than it was for Ireland, even though they were packed as well. But it's always fun when they bring in some little bit of culture from around the world in the White House. It just shows that President Trump enjoys all of the nations coming together and celebrating that we are truly a melting pot for the world. And events like this today just reminds you of that.
Was Nicole Malliotakis there? I mean, I know she's Greek. I heard him call out a bunch of people. I didn't see her or hear her name being called.
I didn't see her as well. Mike Zeldin was called out, and there's some others. Lance Gooden, I believe, was called out as well, but I didn't hear Melanie name here. And then earlier, before this is just moments before this, President Trump met in the Roosevelt Room with one of the top executives with Hyundai, announcing a $20 billion investment in this country, $5 billion specifically in the great state of Louisiana. You had Governor Landry there. You have Mike Johnson there as well. So just Steve Scalise and really all of the kind of the top dogs from the state of Louisiana celebrating investments back in this country. And Eric, I mean, you look at the steel investments, Hyundai building this steel plant in Louisiana for their vehicles, and from what I understand, this is only the beginning of some of the news that will come out here in the next couple of days of auto manufacturers investing in the U.S.
And again, that Brian, right there, that's a response to the threat or feeling that there could be a tariff put on, and that's the upside to it. I'm not a huge tariff guy, but I will tell you that the upside is if corporations from around the world decide they want to bring their manufacturing to the United States to avoid the tariff, all for it. That brings jobs here. Can you stick around? We want to talk to you a little about Alina Habba's new gig that she announced today. Right, great. Yep. All right, folks, we'll be right back with Brian Glenn, and we'll talk a little Alina Habba's new job when we come back in 2.5 minutes.
The FBI calls it house stealing, the latest scam where a cyber thief transfers the title of your home out of your name and steals your hard-earned equity.
It's roughly 60 to 90 days for that person to even figure out that they're the victim of this crime. You start getting foreclosure notices, and you realize you've got 4 mortgages on your house that you didn't even know existed.
Unfortunately, it's on you to protect yourself. You might already be a victim. Check your title status now at HomeTitleLock.com.
Do you have time to take a survey for our disabled veterans? Do you have time to take a survey? Hey, do you have time to take a survey? Hey, ma'am, how are you today?
I'm good, how are you?
Great. Well, I'm with Disabled American Veterans. Do you have a moment to chat?
Yes,
awesome.
I do.
If you had the opportunity to say thank you to a disabled veteran, do you know what you would say?
I feel like I just thank him for what he's done for me, you know?
We actually have that opportunity right now.
Oh my God.
If you turn around, we have one of our veterans with us.
Hi.
Hi, my name's Mike. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. I just want to thank you so much for risking your life for me and everyone here. And I thank you for the sacrifices you made. And I appreciate you.
You seem a little emotional. What's going on?
I looked down at your arm and I shook your hand, and I realized that you did it at the cost for me. You did it for me, and you didn't have to. And I just thank you for sacrificing yourself for me.
It's okay. I'd do it again and again.
You can show your gratitude as well when you call the number on your screen right away, or go to helpdav.org today with your monthly gift of only $19. When you do, we'll send you your very own DAV blanket as a symbol of the care you're making possible for veterans.
When you support DAV, you're supporting veterans like me when we need you the most.
Please call or go online to helpdav.org right away. Your monthly gift makes a difference in the lives of our veterans, now and into their future.
Athens, Greece, capital of Greece. And well done, Mad Dog. That's what you did there. Trump had the Greek folks in the East Room of the White House today, and you gave us Athens, Greece. A beautiful city, by the way. Just amazing seeing all those buildings, all those structures. There's the sky cam. Let's bring back Chief RAV White House correspondent Brian Glenn. And Brian, let us set it up with a nice little soundbite. Didn't see this coming this morning. All of a sudden I saw Alina at the sticks, as they say, right outside the Oval Office by the West Wing there, that little portico, and the sticks, they call them, because a bunch of people put cameras on sticks. And Alina came to the sticks and had quite the announcements. If you don't mind, stand by. Let's take a listen to this couple of minutes soundbite.
He has appointed me as the interim U.S. attorney for the state of New Jersey, my home state. As you know, I've stood by President Trump, his family, the organization, and many other clients in that state where I've been born and raised, and I'm raising my babies now. But there is corruption, there is injustice, and there is a heavy amount of crime right in Cory Booker's backyard and right under Governor Murphy, and that will stop. I look forward to working with Pam Bondi and with the Department of Justice and making sure that we further the president's agenda of putting America first, cleaning up mess, and going after the people that we should be going after, not the people that are falsely accused. That will stop in the great state of New Jersey starting now. Thank you so much.
Who are the people that you want to go after?
We'll see when I get in there. We got to see what's going in. I know you'd love that narrative. Let me be very clear. Paul, I didn't actually.
Cory Booker and Governor Murphy.
Correct, because I think Cory Booker and Governor Murphy have failed the state of New Jersey. If you look at what happened in crime, what's going on in Newark, what's going on in Camden, this has been a neglected state. It is one of the most populated states for its size, and it needs to stop. We're going to do a bang-up job. I cannot wait. It's a great honor. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Alina, do you have any more information on this U.S. attorney who died? You know, she died of natural causes.
No, I do not at that time, but I do pray for her family, and I hope she rests in peace. That was tragic.
Why are you leaving the White House then?
I will be leaving the White House soon and going to New Jersey to serve in my current role and my new role. I'm excited.
This isn't ahead of some statewide ambition, political ambition, or is it just...
Thank you all so much. I'm excited. I'll see you in Jersey.
And so, Brian, did you have rumblings of this happening prior to that?
I didn't, but hang on just one second. I'm getting sounds. I don't know if you know what that is. I'm hearing corruption and abuse leaving the state of New Jersey because when she gets into a position there, I think she's going to uncover a bunch of it. I had no idea that was coming today. We were actually in the briefing room waiting to go in for another event, possibly with the cabinet event, and all of a sudden, boom, the sticks ran out to the stakeout area here, and then all of a sudden she stepped out and made that announcement. A couple minutes later, we now know that she has a new position starting soon. And when you look at what she did for President Trump and how she was so pivotal in his legal battles, there is no doubt that she will get into that position and absolutely root out the corruption that is in that state.
I mean, you want to talk about corruption. I mean, Bob Menendez, literally was what the state was, the senator from New Jersey getting caught with with bricks of gold in his in the jacket pockets in his closets. Who I believe he was sentenced or is being sentenced for that. But that's what the U.S. Attorney does. So it's a U.S. Attorney reports directly to Attorney General Pam Bondi. I notice it's interim, so I'm not sure she's going to be there for the duration. It's a 4-year appointment. I'm not sure if she'll stay, but she will be in charge of federal cases within the state, not local. I believe criminal only, maybe civil as well. I probably criminal only, possibly civil. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so it's quite a bit of power. And the question is, where did that come from? I don't know where that came from. Is there any rumblings on why Lena and why now?
No. But I mean, it seems like everything that takes place here, Eric, is almost like a part of a master plan. That maybe we're going to come back and we're going to make sure that some of these individuals, some of these departments that wrongfully went after Americans, went after President Trump and many people associated with him, maybe there is a little bit of let's get justice to come after them. So I don't know what started this, but I do know that she is the perfect person. And it's good to see that she is going home to a certain degree, because I know she was spending time here at the White House. We always saw her walking up and down Pebble Beach here. So it's nice to know that she's going to be perhaps full-time in New Jersey to be with her babies, as she said in that brief presser. So good person,
what's
good position, good American, yeah.
Yeah, what's interesting is, all this USAID is a big funding operation. A lot of folks were trying to figure out who was benefiting from USAID and why, and a lot of money was going to a lot of NGOs and places. And it was only Democrats sticking up for USAID. It's Democrats who said, don't shut us down. And we were trying to figure out, I always follow the money. I had a show on Fox years ago called Follow the Money. When you follow the money, you usually find out what the real reasons are. These Democrats, Jamie Raskin, Jasmine Crockett, Maxine Waters in California, they were all there. And they were all like, it didn't make a lot of sense. Well, New Jersey has a history of a lot of corruption and a lot of people. And I just wonder if Trump sent her to New Jersey to look into Murphy, Governor Murphy, who's, some would say, he's had some issues, especially with Bob Menendez and things going. New Jersey is historically one of the dirtiest states, politics-wise, in all 51, if you include Canada.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing how the Democrats stand up to fight any kind of investigation into fraud, waste, and abuse in our government? You think that's a common sense, or multi-party? We all have that in common. We want to make sure that we don't have abuse, fraud, and waste in our government. But it seems like Democrats, that's their mantra. That's what they're fighting. I mean, Eric, we were talking earlier. What do the Democrats stand for? Like, honestly, what's their platform? What do they, when they go out and have these town halls, which, by the way, are widely coordinated by activists that are all gotten together to do this, what do they stand for? And right now, you look what's happening. They stand for harboring criminals, gang members in our country. They're more worried about breaking down the logistics of how we remove these people, rather than looking into logistics how they got into this country. So to your question, I'm sure if you follow the money in all of this, USAID, you're going to see a lot of backdoor deals that came from all these different weird organizations. And by the way, speaking of Doge real quickly, the subcommittee on Doge meets on Wednesday to look into NPR and PBS and the type of money that's been funding into those two media outlets, which we both know are heavily skewed. This is going to be juicy. This is going to be spicy. Apparently, they've got the president. I believe the president or CEO of NPR is going to be there as a witness, if you will. And I can only imagine the questions that were going to be fired off at her that happens on Wednesday. That's going to be a good one.
You're right. So we're going to circle the calendar. We're going to circle the calendar.
Get your popcorn ready.
Because NPR and PBS, they're taxpayer funded, and they certainly don't represent the right side of the aisle. Certainly not, probably not even the middle. It's most of that.
Not even the middle.
Is far left.
Not even the middle.
Yeah. Hey, before we let you go, very quickly, this whole idea of this leaked memo to Jonah Goldberg, the military memo. Any inside dirt you can tell us about what the scuttle is there?
Well, that I found out that story walking in here right before that press conference, and so I looked into it. I read the story on The Atlantic. President Trump was asked that question in the Roosevelt Room about that leak that was on the, I guess it was a telegram or one of the
right
communication.
One of them that a lot of
he
people
had not heard of
access,
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he was not aware of the story. The reporter had to explain to him what he was talking about. So I'm sure President Trump will look into this, how this happens, that someone was mistakenly added to an internal chat about the timing of the bombing there that happened last week. But hey, have you ever sent a text to somebody that you didn't mean to send a text to? That's kind of what happened.
That's how I ended up at Fox News.
Included in a text chain.
That's how I ended up at Fox News. I was working at CNBC, and it was Kevin Goldberg, and I sent it to the wrong Kevin, who was at CNBC. I was supposed to send it over to Fox, and told him I was going to come over to Fox, and then CNBC found out. And to their credit, Roger Ailes brought me over, and I spent 12 years there. All right, I got to jump here, Brian. Good to have you, my friend. Thanks for the insight, and I love these interactions. So much going on at the White House. Rav, Chief White House Correspondent, Brian Glenn. That's it. All right, we'll be back in 2 minutes, 30 seconds.
In a crisis, your number one need is food. But here's the good news. 4 Patriots is offering a special buy one, get 2 free deal on its best-selling 72-hour survival food kits. Hurry, go to 4patriots.com now.
Stay tuned to get a free automatic toilet bowl cleaner from Mermaid. Your sink stopper's broken, but fixing a drain is such a pain. Not anymore. Introducing Mermaid Drain Magic, the instant solution to most broken drains. Simply remove and replace. In just seconds, you can fill and drain with a simple press of a button. Drain Magic makes replacing your old, broken, rusty, even missing sink stoppers fast and easy.
Practically took me 5 seconds to replace. It absolutely made my sink look like brand new.
Honestly, I couldn't believe it. How could it work so well, look so good, and install so quickly?
And forget clogging, because Drain Magic's anti-clogging basket helps catch debris before it goes down the drain. When the basket's full, just discard. Helps prevent clogs in your sink by catching hair, food, even jewelry. Drain Magic uses a silicone gasket that creates a watertight seal without messy plumber's putty. Look, this sink was filled hours ago and the water still remains. Press the spring-loaded stopper and the water's gone. Made of brass and finished in high-quality chrome, Drain Magic is rust-resistant and built to last.
It's made out of metal, not plastic, and it actually has some weight to it. Yeah, this is the real deal.
Just looks like a new sink now.
Order your 2-in-1 drain solution, Mermaid Drain Magic, today for only $19.99. And with every order, you're going to get a Mermaid automatic toilet bowl cleaner absolutely free. Just drop it in the tank for up to 3 months of hands-free cleaning. Mermaid's ultra-concentrated formula cleans and deodorizes with every flush. But wait, due to rising costs, this may be your last chance to get Mermaid Drain Magic at this incredibly low price with free Mermaid toilet bowl cleaner. There's a strict limit of 3. Call or click now to order.
Call 1-800-519-3206 or visit getdrainmagic.com. So call 1-800-519-3206 or visit getdrainmagic.com. Order now.
Attention homeowners. Are you behind on your mortgage payments? Is the bank threatening to take your home? Is your home worth less than you owe? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then you need to call this number right now.
Call 800-714-8615.
I detoxed not only physically, but intellectually, emotionally, and spiritually. The last few days, I actually had kind of a traumatic experience, totally unexpected. I handled it boldly, calmly, truthfully, and I wouldn't have done that 4 months ago when I started. No matter what you're doing, if you're detoxing, to me, that helped me more than anything. I went through 2 rounds of viruses and things, getting things out of my body, and it's been great. I just suggest it for anybody.
All right, well, that was a look at an Energized Health client who says detoxing changed her way of life. Here to tell us more is founder of Energized Health, John Jubilee. John, detox, and I listened to that woman say that it wasn't just a physical detox, it was an emotional, intellectual detoxification as well. Seems to me like these things might all go hand in hand.
Well, it really is. You know, God made us a triune being. You know, we are a spirit, we live in a body, and we have a soul, which consists of our mind, will, and emotions. And when we have what we scientifically call cellular trauma, you know, our parents go through divorces, or we have an unpleasant, maybe we have a car accident or a death of a family member. Those things create cellular trauma that get locked in our cells, even when we're children or when we're young adults or even later in life. And if we don't get those toxins, whether they're emotional toxins or spiritual toxins or physical toxins, out of our body, of course, that's the whole RFK movement, right? He's trying to change the physical toxins, you know, with all of these dozens of extra ingredients that are in food today that were not in the food when we were growing up as little boys.
Yeah.
Now they have all of these extra toxins, additives in foods, and we have to detox. We've got to get the toxins out. It's impossible to be healthy at the cellular level unless we do a real detox. And when I say a real detox, Eric, it's because a lot of people will do these, what I call a gimmick detox. You know, they'll drink these crazy concoctions, you know, apple cider vinegar and cayenne pepper, and you know, they'll do these liver cleanses and these detoxes that are, you know, just basically, you know, drinking this muck, and they're telling you it's pushing toxins out of your body. But think about this for a moment. You know, God, you know, everything in the Bible, it says you'll be like a tree planted by a river of living water. Mm-hmm. So picture if you have intercellular hydration, your whole body becomes like a river of living water flowing through your body at all times. And if you have a river of living water flowing through your body, and if you picture a dozen styrofoam cups as toxins that get thrown into the river, well, what does a healthy river do? It just washes those toxins down the river, right? They're gone in just a matter of moments. And that's what our patent pending science, our breakthrough science of intracellular hydration, is the most natural, easy detox that anybody can do spiritually, mentally, and physically.
So can you just take us through that? The natural detox, is it a consumption? Is it water-based? What is it? And I just, as an example, once a year I go on a technology detox, and I literally put this away for 4 days. It goes away. I don't have a laptop, I don't have a phone, and it's amazing for me. So is it that? Well, tell us how, if you don't mind, just tell us a quick synopsis of what the course is all about.
Well, the synopsis of this, so there's an 88-day cycle. The cellular cycle of a human body is 88 days. And so what we do is we give people a 2-week foundation phase where we give them 3 simple things to do, and then 88 days to walk through our patent pending science of a scientific protocol that is 100% guaranteed to make you healthy at the cellular level. So we've been helping people for 28 years. 28 years. You guys could go research on the internet, go look on Trustpilot, go look on the Better Business Bureau, and look at thousands, tens of thousands of clients that have said, oh my word, you know, this sounded too good to be true, but it changed my life. Now, everything scientific has side effects. Unfortunately, everything in big pharma that's scientific has negative side effects. The great news about intracellular hydration, all the side effects are positive. You get off your medication, you lose your visceral and subcutaneous fat, you gain lean muscle, you gain your intracellular hydration, which means it gets inside the cell, creates a river, like beautiful rivers and waterfalls flowing that flushes out all of your toxins. Now, when you do that, it turns you back in time like you're a teenager. That's why it resets your hypothalamus and metabolism, and everyone loses their subcutaneous and visceral fat. So 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 pounds of fat, not weight, because our clients don't lose an ounce of water. They gain lean skeletal muscle, which spikes your metabolism. Like I said, it's like a reset. And you reverse age. The biggest organ in your whole body is your skin. And so that's why our clients say, oh my word, I look 10, 20, 30 years younger than I did before. Well, why? Because what's the difference between a raisin and a grape?
John, we got to jump here. We had Tom Homan, who was coming out at the White House in bit, but it's really fascinating science, and we're going to stay on with you and have you back again very soon. Appreciate your time, John Jubilee. Thank you.
Welcome.
All right, folks. Like I said, we had Tom Homan hit the sticks. We will see if we can turn it around, take a listen to it. But in the meantime, you know, this whole Rosie O'Donnell, I really thought we were finally free from Rosie O'Donnell's nonsense. She made this whole big deal about leaving the country and going off the grid. Yet here she is running her mouth about the 2024 election over the weekend.
You know, a lot of people did vote for him.
Yes.
Do you accept their right to do that and their opinion of him?
Well, I respect their right to do that. I question why the first time in American history a president has won every swing state and is also best friends, and his largest donor was a man who owns and runs the internet. So I would hope that that would be investigated and that we would see whether or not it was an anomaly or something else that happened on election night in America when Kamala Harris was filling up stadiums with people who supported her, and Donald Trump was not able to do that. So it's curious to me. And as an American and a believer in democracy, I would hope that we would be able to look at all of the reasons why this happened in our country.
Wonder what happens to Rosie when they throw her out of Ireland. All right, MD, you turned around the gaggle from Tom Homan a minute ago. Yes?
I did.
Let's do it. Let's take a look.
Can I ask you what you're seeing with respect to fentanyl on the northern and southern borders over the past couple of months?
Pardon me?
Can I ask you what you're seeing with respect to fentanyl on the Canadian-Mexican borders?
What do you
make of the steps taken so far?
I met with Canadian officials 2 weeks ago. Just 2 weeks ago. They're doing a lot. Fentanyl, they're attacking fentanyl. They haven't borders are themselves now. They're sending more resources to their southern border, which is our northern border. Head of our NCP was there, so they're doing more. President Trump believes they need to do more than what they're doing, but they're on the right path. They're doing more, but they need a little bit more from them.
What about the Mexicans?
Look, I think Mexicans being very cooperative with us thus far. The president believes they need to do more too, but the facts are border crossing on the southern border now 96%. It's the most secure border we've ever had. I mean, I was speaking a few minutes ago about the gotaways. Under Joe Biden, we're averaging over 1,800 gotaways a day. 1,800 people crossed the border, weren't apprehended, weren't fingerprinted, we don't know where they came from, why they're here. Well, I looked at the numbers the other day. It was 41. It was 1,841. So the numbers on the border are extraordinary. We got the most secure border we've ever had right now, but we're going to get it down to zero. We're going to get what's got to down to zero. That's okay.
Do you think those fentanyl tariffs are TBD right now? Right now, they're clawed back with the USMCA exemption, but they've got the big announcement coming next week.
That's out of my lane. I'll leave that to the president. But I think the president's doing the right thing.
Thank you.
Tom, can I ask you about what the federal appeals judge is saying there? He said, noting that alleged Nazis were given better treatment during World War II than the Trump administration treated Venezuela.
Well, first of all, it's ridiculous. It's just another example of a radical judge saying something that's just disgusting, to compare anything to the Nazis. The Holocaust. We follow the law. Alien Enemies Act is clear. A law that was passed by Congress, signed by the president. We're following, unlike last administration, we're actually following the law. What we did on those planes, we removed terrorists. MS-13 and TDA were our designated terrorist organization. We removed terrorists. And to compare that any way whatsoever with Nazis is disgusting on every level.
Now, see, if I were one of the reporters there, that little gaggle by the sticks, as they say, and that, by the way, is right outside the Oval Office, I would say, hey, Mr. Homan, what do you say about Rosie O'Donnell, who left the country for Ireland because Trump won? Would you allow her back in? Let's find out what he'd say about that. We know we get a good response. All right, we'll be back in 2.5 minutes. We got a lot more of the show, a lot more fun stuff coming up.
Tired of the hassle and high cost of selling a home? We can help.
At Ideal Agent, we'll connect you with a top local agent that'll sell your home fast for top dollar, and all this for as low as a 2% commission.
We got the top dollar for our house and the lowest commission that I could have imagined. The house sold in 2 days. It was so exciting for us.
Ideal Agent is available nationwide, there's no obligation, and best of all, our service is completely free. Call today or visit idealagent.com.
Did you know you could remodel your kitchen faster and for a lot less than at the big box stores? At Cabinets to Go, customize your dream kitchen with custom quality cabinets, countertops, and more. And enjoy a high quality, affordable kitchen makeover that is sure to wow. Visit one of our showrooms nationwide and get your dream kitchen today for as low as $149 a month at cabinetstogo.com.
My back got injured very bad. I was off work for about a year. I heard about Relief Factor from my wife. I took it every day, 3 times a day for 3 weeks. I'd look at her and I said, the pain is gone. And she said, I'm glad it helped. I said, no, you don't understand. It's gone.
Relief Factor is a daily supplement that doesn't just mask pain, it helps eliminate it. Call or go online now for our 3-week quick start, just $19.95.
Your wallet is always in danger. Criminals can hack your information without you even knowing. Introducing Slim Mint, an ultra-thin RFID blocking wallet that keeps your cards and cash protected. Slim Mint uses the latest RFID blocking technology to prevent thieves from stealing your info. It's ergonomically designed to optimize space and keep your belongings organized. With the auto-locking Slim Mint, your cards and money stay securely in place. It has a built-in cash clip and a flexible outer band to fit your additional cards and cash. Call or click now and get Slim Mint for just $29.99. Order in the next 5 minutes and you'll get an instant $10 discount. So it's only $19.99. But wait, due to rising costs, this may be your last chance to get Slim Mint at this low price. There's a strict limit of 3 Slim Mint wallets while supplies last. Don't wait, order now.
Call 1-800-608-4172. Call or visit slimmintwallet.com. So call 1-800-608-4172 now.
That looks familiar. DC. Been there, did that. No interest. The IRS is the largest tax collection agency, the largest collection agency of any kind in the world. And with April 15th fast approaching, it's more aggressive than ever. In 2025, enforcement has ramped up. And if you owe back taxes or have unfiled returns, waiting is not an option. The longer you do, the worse it gets. Ignoring your tax troubles is the worst thing you can do. April 15th marks another tax year that has passed you by. Getting ahead of this now is a smart move, but never contact the IRS alone. Instead, let the experts at Tax Network USA handle it for you. Why? Because not all tax resolution companies are the same. Tax Network USA has a preferred direct line to the IRS, meaning they know exactly which agents to deal with and which to avoid, with proven strategies to settle tax problems in your favor. Whether you owe $10,000 or if you owe $10 million, Tax Network USA's attorneys and negotiators have already resolved over $1 billion in tax debt. Talk with one of the strategists today. It's free. Stop the threatening letters, stop looking over your shoulder, and protect yourself from property seizures and bank levies. Don't let the IRS control your future. Call 1-800-905-8000 or visit tnusa.com/RAV. April 15th, just around the corner. Act now before the IRS acts first. Okay, folks. It's bad. I'm telling you right about now, Walt Disney spinning in his grave, the way Kevin Sorbo said at the top of the show. The wonderful world he painstakingly built has been dying a slow woke death, with what's turning out to be a woke crescendo with the absolute disaster of the remake of Snow White. Hey, Hilaria. How do you say flop, or should I say Hillary from Boston? Yes, as says everyone, Snow White is the epitome of failure. This is going to be one of the biggest failures for Disney, and that's saying a whole heck of a lot given the last 4 years of the downfall of the magical woke kingdom. That's right. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes, Disney, because Disney knew this movie was going to flop. They knew this was going to be a big disaster for them, and it All came down to one person who does an excellent job of representing everything that's wrong with the woke left in one little small, not so white package.
And to everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
Well, apparently they won't Rachel Ziegler. Rachel Ziegler is somehow one of the most entitled people in Hollywood, and that's saying a lot given that these people are insufferable and deserve exactly 0% of our time, money, or attention.
If I'm going to stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
This is what killed the movie before it even made it to the theaters, when Ziegler, who was clearly trained by the Snowflake Mafia, told America all about her woke vision for the Snow White movie.
No longer 1937. It is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be, and the leader that her late father told her that she could be if she was fearless, fair, brave, and true. The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird. So we didn't do that this time. I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again. I watched it for the first time in probably 17 years. The cartoon was made 85 years ago, and therefore it's extremely dated when it comes to the ideas of women being in
Again, Walt Disney spinning in that grave. Also, not every single movie ever made needs to be remade, right, Disney? But so in the Biden era of wokedom, we already knew it was always going to be all about her being this empowered woman. And the Disney folks knew that because of these interviews that fans are just not interested in what Disney's little woke princess was serving up. In fact, Rachel Ziegler did so much damage leading into this movie coming out that they didn't even have interviews on the red carpet at premieres. Rachel Ziegler is plausibly the worst investment that Disney has ever made. It's one thing to state that she supported Kamala Harris. It's her right to express that and also be exactly what we would expect, nothing different from an up-and-coming Hollywood commie. But remember, she has quite literally wished harm on all who supported President Donald Trump. Remember that? Quoting, "May Trump supporters and Trump voters and Trump himself never know peace," said Rachel Ziegler. She's mentally unwell. Rachel Ziegler represents everything that's wrong with the left and everything that the left worked so hard to turn this country into for 4 very, very long and disgusting years. America doesn't want that. Snow White bombed because she called the original movie dated. She called the prince a guy who just literally stalks her. She told potential customers that she was scared of the original cartoon. She told little girls love is important, but power is. She told 77 million potential customers to F off if they voted for Trump. And Disney told 20 million white mothers and 19 million white fathers that your identity sucks. So you were chasing the character to Latina. And then there's the issue of the movie itself apparently sucking as well, which is what happens when you become so clouded by woke and injecting gay into everything. Well, here's an actual Disney executive saying the quiet part out loud. Remember this one?
I'm here as a mother of 2 queer children, actually, one transgender child and one pansexual child, and also as a leader. One of our execs stood up and said, we only have a handful of queer leads in our content. And I went, what? That can't be true. And I realized, it actually is true. We have many, many, many LGBTQIA characters in our stories, and yet we don't have enough leads.
More gay leads, more gay here, there, more gay everywhere. Also, mother of a pansexual and transsexual child. Both children of a woke Disney executive are gay. What are the odds of that? This is the mentality. The woke mind has taken over Disney for years, and now it led to this unavoidable disaster. Even the liberal rags couldn't help but give this flop 2 thumbs down. This from HuffPo, which by all accounts and history should simply adore this flick, coming in hot with the headline, Snow White is a strange, hot mess. The Guardian, not much kinder, headlining with exhaustingly awful, which strangely enough is a great way to describe Kamala Harris's entire presidency. Campaign, at least. And this headline nails it with this headline, this line: Disney has trashed its crown jewel and its reputation. Congratulations to Disney for sticking out a middle finger to all of its shareholders. Well done on producing what's apparently one of the most atrocious low-rent corporate dumpster fires of all time. Don't forget, what these people have done to Disney is unmitigated, downright fraudulent, and driven by self-delusion. Every single executive at Disney should be ashamed, starting with Bob Iger. What an absolute humiliation to Walt Disney himself and that legacy. Desecration on the magical world that once was. The fact that Wall Street hasn't expressed outrage over this 5-year shareholder shellacking, insane to me. They've lost hundreds of billions of dollars in shareholder value. Well, here's a glass half full moment. While we relish in the obvious joy of the failure at what's so clearly an uncalled for woke retelling of a story that millions have loved for decades, one that really didn't need any of this. This movie is the leftover remnant of the woke era that's slowly coming to a close. I think it's time to close the book on woke. Disney, time for you to get back to making movies for kids. It's okay to have a love story between a man and a woman. It's okay, Disney. It won't bite. We'll be back with Ben in 2.5 minutes.
Allergy season is Navage season.
So when you're dealing with allergies and you've got that stopped up feeling and you can blow your nose and it's a little bit better, using the Navage takes it all away. Put the water in the top chamber, put the pod in, close the lid, put it in your nose, push the button, you're done. It's natural, it's effective, it's fast, probably the best investment you could make if you suffer with allergies.
And for stuffy little noses, pick out the new Navage Baby Aspirator, now at Walmart in the baby department. When a cyber thief transfers the title of your home out of your name, it's a race against time to stop the theft of your hard-earned equity.
Many people don't know this has happened until long after it's done.
You as the homeowner think you still own a house. 3 months later, you start getting foreclosure notices and you realize you've got 4 mortgages on your house that you didn't even know existed.
So when's the last time you checked on the title to your home? Find out if you're already a victim at HomeTitleLock.com.
What if you could tackle your dog's itching, mushy poops, and low energy? Millions of pet parents are raving about Dr. Marty Nature's Blend.
Such a huge difference in her health. More energy, more playful, no more pooping issues.
I'm Dr. Marty. I've been a veterinarian for more than 50 years. The dangerous ingredients added to many pet foods could be impacting your dog's lifespan. That's why I formulated Nature's Blend.
Now you can feed your dog wholesome cuts of real meat, vegetables, and fruit with no artificial preservatives or fillers. Try Dr. Marty risk-free. Go to drmartypets.com/TV.
Are you over 50? Would you like to get up to 33% more income in retirement? Then call now and get this free book, Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers, from a leading financial firm on maximizing your income in retirement. This book reveals little-known secrets about annuity strategies in simple-to-understand terms that can help you make the right choices before buying an annuity. And if you call right now, as a bonus, we'll throw in a free annuity rate report. We've researched over 1,200 annuities summarizing the rates and benefits for you. So don't miss out on this opportunity because supplies are limited. Call now and find out how you can get up to 33% more income in your retirement, and you'll receive Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers and the Annuity Rate Report as an added bonus. Both books are yours free just for calling Annuity General today.
Call 800-899-6246. That's 800-899-6246. Again, 800-899-6246.
There is Houston. The reason why we put this up is last week we started talking about barbecue. Where's the best barbecue? What we're going to do the rest of the week is we're going to talk about the best food you can put on a barbecue. We're going to do like the March Madness type of thing with the brackets. Where the best? Is it burgers, brisket? Is it hot dog, chicken, ribs? Who knows? We'll get it and we'll bring it down to the Final Four and then the Elite Eight, Final Four, and then the championship towards the end of the week, maybe Monday. Let's bring in Steve Bann. Steve, a couple of things. But before we get into something I think is super important for us to talk about, just take a look at this video. I love this video. Nancy Pelosi going back to her district to talk to the folks. See how it went.
And Pelosi with questions. It was clear they were not there to hear her answers.
No, you've asked questions. You've asked questions. You have spoken.
Can we have a second, please?
And there was no winning them over.
And it's beautiful to our ears to hear your protection, your self-dignity. Just stop it now. All right.
Steve, she's getting the business. She's getting the business. I'm not sure I ever heard her group like that. They've had it with them.
It's their Tea Party moment. That's how the Tea Party, remember the Tea Party revolt in 2009 and 10 throughout a ton of Republicans that were like that before he won. I think it was 63 seats in the 2010 midterm for the Tea Party revolt. Yeah, the old guard of the Democratic Party is going to be thrown overboard for lack of action. Not sure what the program is. It's kind of a phony populism of AOC and Bernie drawing big crowds, but it's a phony populism, cosplaying populist.
Populist. That's a great way to put it. Steve, only a couple minutes, and all show I'm asking this question. I have no idea. How did this Jonah Goldberg, who's clearly a Trump derangement syndrome victim, hates Trump, how did he get included in a list, in a highly classified list of military people knowing about that Yemen attack in advance of the attack?
I don't know. I think it's got. I'm not sure. I don't think you need an investigation, but I think President Trump ought to have a couple of three guys in the men and women down in the Situation Room to walk through this. How do you get up on a group chat, maybe with everybody when you're making decisions like that? I think President Trump's just got to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
He's got very capable people. It's interesting, kind of JD's questions or questions I've said. I've been adamant about why do you have two carrier battle groups down there when you're protecting the Suez Canal for European trade. But I think they got to question the whole thing about getting in a group chat before they do it. Although I thought some of the logic in there was pretty strong. Although I've disagreed with this Houthi situation on Yemen from the beginning, even from the first administration. It's a Saudi Arabian problem, and the Saudis and UAE ought to deal with it. Right? They ought to deal with it, and they ought to deal with it forcefully.
Does someone get fired for this?
I don't know if anybody gets fired, but I believe that the president's got to have a deep discussion with a couple of three people. I don't know if it raises to that level. It depends on the whole situation. Like, why was the guy brought in, even if it was a mistake? How would that happen? I just think and this is very personal when you talk about a commander-in-chief. I mean, the whole thing today in the appeals court was about Trump as commander-in-chief. Commander-in-chief is the most personal of all the positions because there you have the defense of the country and really war and peace throughout the world. It's a very personal decision President Trump has to make, what he is comfortable with as commander-in-chief. His advisors, how he's getting information, how that's being shared, decision-making. All of it. I think President Trump's got to take some time and sit down with people and walk through the whole thing, but also walk through the logic of how they make decisions and how they're going to get back to him in advice. I think it's a good time for President Trump to do that. And like I said, the commander-in-chief role is by far the most personal role that the president has in all three of the different areas. I think President Trump's got to sit down with his advisors and do it.
My concern, stuff happens, mistakes happen. Hopefully it's a mistake. My concern is it wasn't a mistake with Brett Baer or Sean Hannity, which is not excusable anyway. But this guy Jonah Goldberg he's no friend of the plan, so to speak, and that was the biggest. How did this guy's name get on it?
I think the excuse is that they were trying to add the trade rep, whose also initials is JG. Look, I don't know. It's kind of how do you think it through?
Got it.
That's why I think it's something that the White House in particular the way President Trump makes decisions on these types of things. And people should know he's making big decisions. I mean, Waltz is up today in Greenland. He's having discussions about the Panama Canal. He's asking for a war plan. At least it's been leaked that he asked for a war plan or military action in Panama. He's actively has 2 carrier battle groups. Since this, over the weekend, Eric, it shouldn't be lost to you, the USS Vincent's carrier battle group was deployed. So now you have 2 carrier battle groups down there, which I warned about. You got that's a big hunk of the operating Navy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What,
so it's
what do they know?
Like I said,
I don't want to eat more of your time, but
President,
what did they do? Why are they moving a second battle group? Are we preparing for war in the Middle East? Is that what we're doing?
Well, right now, keeping the Red Sea and that sea lane open, I think JD, I don't know if that's the venue you do or whatever, but JD's issues were the same issues I have. Was why are we defending Europe's sea lanes? And President Trump's got a bigger picture there as he tries to bring peace to the Middle East. He's juggling a lot of balls. That's why I think it's incumbent upon the president to get that core group of advisors. Don't do it in the cabinet room. Go down to the national security space. Mm-hmm. Have everybody out and just go around the table and say, okay, let's work through this for a second. How are we going to, here's my operating style. Here's how I make decisions. You guys are my advisors. This is life and death. Let's walk through this so we don't make this mistake again. Indeed. That's what I think needs to happen. And I think only President Trump can do that.
Indeed. All right, Steve, I stole a couple of your minutes. Appreciate your time. I'll see you tomorrow, my friend.
No, that's okay. Bowling, you're always one of the best guests I have. Now, I realize we were talking about war and peace, life and death, something very heavy, not briskets and your bracketology, whatever this is, but it sounds fascinating.
Well, you can vote.
Only Eric Bowling.
I'll get your vote tomorrow.
And Eric Bowling, you've got, we say in the business, you have range. You have range, sir. So thank you very much.
Have a great show.
Eric Bowling. Okay, thank you, sir. We've got a lot of activity in the White House today besides this issue. Natalie's going to join me at 6. We're going to work through that. Let's go ahead. We've got a cold open for you from the cabinet meeting, and then a very special meeting happened with President Trump right afterwards. Let's go ahead and let it roll.
Yesterday, I was speaking to somebody. I was checking on the border, and they said there was literally nobody in this massive plaza. We're talking a plaza that would hold hundreds of thousands of people. There was literally nobody there. There was one person sweeping it, but there were no people. It's been amazing. It's been an amazing transformation very quickly, and we're getting the bad ones out first, and we're taking them out. And there's some really bad ones, murderers of more than one people. At least 50% murdered more than one person. This is the people that we're letting in through their open border policy. It was terrible, but I want to just congratulate you and Tom Holman on the job you've done. It's really.
Boston this weekend, hundreds of dangerous criminals were removed. 4 killers taken out of the country just by what they did in Boston this last few days.
And these are killers that there's no reasoning. It's not like, let's talk them out of it. These are stone cold killers. They don't care. They don't even think about it. They kill somebody. They go to sleep. They wake up. They don't even remember they killed them. These are bad people that should have never been allowed into our country. We had a very, very good cabinet meeting. We're on our way to some tremendous numbers. I think, first of all, many companies are now moving into the United States. They're coming back. Some of them left us from many years ago, decades ago, and they're all coming back. We have probably identified maybe $4 trillion worth of companies moving back or going to move back. Many of them have announced it's going to be tremendous jobs, high-paying jobs, too. And you probably know the chip business, not because of the CHIPS Act, which was a disaster. You gave billions of dollars to companies that already have many billions of dollars. They said thank you very much. It was no incentive for them to use it. But what is good is the tariffs will make it so that they want to come back. That's why they're coming back. I think they're coming back because of the election that took place on November 5th and because of the fact that they have to come back because the tariffs are forcing them to come back. And remember, there are no tariffs if you build here, and that's a big factor. So we have record numbers. Howard was just telling me the numbers that we're talking about are crazy, beyond anybody's wildest expectation. So they'll be doing a lot of a lot of building, all sorts of businesses, including the basics of automobiles. We have, as you know, Honda is coming in with a massive plant to Indiana, but there are many plants that are happening, and literally some are started already. General Motors is already redoing plants that were half abandoned, or they have plants that weren't being fully utilized. They're going to be, they and others are going to be making parts and other things in those plants so that it's one-stop shopping finally. It's ridiculous. You had to go to Mexico, you had to go to Canada, a car went all over the place. It was like, I don't know how that would have worked, but that's the way it sort of ended up. We had a deal, and we have a deal, it's fine, but people took advantage of the deal. They cheated. And when you cheat, the deals are unfortunate. But now what's happening is the numbers are beyond our wildest expectations.
We are, under your direction, we're reprivatizing the economy. We're bringing down government spending. We're bringing down excess employment in the government sector. On the other side, we're going to re-leverage the banking system. We're going to have all the new manufacturing jobs, so everyone who's laid off from the government will have an opportunity to go into the private sector, and that is going to lead to disinflation. Inflation is under control. We're going to get the affordability crisis fixed. So lower energy, deregulation, more private sector jobs that will naturally get interest rates down. Interest rates down. Mortgage rates are down almost every week since January 20th. The energy costs are down about 15%. Crude oil's down about 15%. And as we keep that going, interest rates are going to keep declining. It'll be good for mortgages. It'll be good for credit card debt. It'll be great for auto loans.
I think it won't be that long before the states will be really running the Department of Education. Our teachers are going to be taken very well care of. And I said, personally, I don't care, union, non-union, it doesn't matter. Teachers are so important to this country and to me. And we're going to take great care of our teachers. And I know it's very important to Linda. So I think you're going to see a tremendous change very quickly having to do with education. And the process has already begun, very strongly begun.
Through your leadership, you embody the values of our Christian faith and love for the gospel. You remind me of the great Roman Emperor, Constantine the Great. This emperor, your dear Mr. President, is the one who founded and built the magnificent city of Constantinople, my birthplace, known today as Istanbul. It is my great honor to present you with this holy cross. This cross is the very symbol that led this great Roman Emperor Constantine to victory. As Christ revealed to him in a vision, he said, "En tuto nica," told the emperor, means go with this and be victorious, Mr. President. This cross is an everlasting symbol of peace and an invincible trophy, a sign of divine strength and guidance. With this cross, I pray you bring peace to the world and make America invincible.
This is the primal scream of a dying regime. Pray for our enemies, because we're going medieval on these people. Houston's not got a free shot on all these networks lying about the people. The people have had a belly full of it. I know you don't like hearing that. I know you try to do everything in the world to stop that, but you're not going to stop it. It's going to happen.
And where do people like that go to share the big lie? MAGA media. I wish, in my soul, I wish that any of these people had a conscience.
Ask yourself, what is my task and what is my purpose?
if that answer is to save my country, this country will be saved.
War Room. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
It's Monday, 24 March, year of our Lord 2025. Thank you for joining us for the late afternoon, early evening edition of the War Room. Cabinet meeting right there. Scott Bessent, the Secretary of Treasury, going through a litany of how the economy, the horrible change or turnover they got from Biden with inflation, lack of manufacturing production, all of it. And, of course, what President Trump's doing and particularly bringing jobs back. And then Scott walked through. We'll replay Scott's in a little while. Very important. At the end, the Patriarch of Constantinople, I guess it's the eve of Greek Independence Day, so they had a ceremony today, an event today. Of course, it was packed. You see the loud applause. They called President Trump Constantine the Great. Remember, Constantine the Great is what the individual who made Christianity a state religion of the then Roman Empire, and I think, as Michael Pack and others that I agree with, gave the Roman Empire a couple more years of life, and then was the basis of the Judeo-Christian West to spread Christianity throughout Europe and then eventually to the New World. If we can go to, now this is totally, I'm not saying, I know we're prescient here in the War Room. We always like to look over the hill, as Wellington told his lieutenants. But this, if you go, and I'm not hawking merch. Mo and Grace come and hawk the merch. They oversee the merch site. So, but on merch, right there, can we put it up? That is from a photo that Raheem, that's actually a gift from Raheem. And he took a photo. That's my Christmas gift from Raheem. And Raheem took a photo. It was at an individual's house. We were having Christmas dinner. That went viral in Turkey and in Greece. In Turkey, they were applauding. In Greece, maybe not so happy. It's kind of like the protesters they're rounding up. Erdogan, did not dig that. Free Constantinople. But you can get that shirt. I'm just saying, I had no earthly idea at the time. Raheem had no earthly idea that the Patriarch of Constantinople would call what President Trump the greatest leader or the embodiment of Constantine the Great. I'm going to play that tape again. So much going on. Go ahead. Thank you. Go to the merch site right now. Go over to War Room Merch and check it out. Free Constantinople. People in Turkey were going nuts. They were not happy. They're not. They don't think Constantinople needs to be free. Hey, going back to the Crusades, maybe we disagree. American Heart's going to take us out. Big day today. There was a. How do I say this? There was a. I talked about in BOLLING SHOW. There's something that just has to be addressed. The president has to do that. Don't need a big investigation. This is very personal. I think the president just ought to do it with his advisors. Kind of work through how they're going to go forward and do this. But on that topic of being commander-in-chief, fireworks today in an appellate court, just so you keep your scorecard on your scorecard, fill your scorecard out in pencil because there's a lot going on. It was an appellate court, I think, for the removal of the judge. The case itself, or the judge himself, still on it. That's still proceeding forward. Julie Kelly's here for that. We also have hearings on these judges because of you, this War Room posse up on the ramparts, firing people up and saying, hey, we need to have reviews. So Johnson doesn't want to do impeachment, but at least what Jim Jordan tells us are going to be hearings, and they're going to have some of these judges in to answer a couple of 3 questions in front of the nation. I dig that. Mike Davis will be here. Natalie Bossi, we're going to get to all of this as they try to thwart President Trump. To delay is to deny, but also as commander-in-chief, to try to get between him and decisions he has to make for the national security and safety of the country. Take your phone out. Text Bannon, Bannon, at Birch Gold. Bannon at 989898. Get the ultimate guide to investing in gold and precious metals in the era of Trump. Now more than ever, because we're going to have a little turbulence, folks. You're going to need a hedge. Gold is that hedge. Short break.
Hello, friends. Pat Boone here with a message from the past. In
Imagine the shock of reading tomorrow's newspaper and discovering the price of gold has doubled to over $1,000 an ounce. Sound impossible? Well, it's not. That's right. Back in 2006, my friends at Swiss America forecast gold prices would top $1,000 an ounce, and they were right. Today, several financial firms are forecasting $3,000 gold. Now, for over 40 years, Swiss America has helped folks like you and me purchase precious metals for home delivery and for our IRAs. So don't miss this opportunity again. Call or text Swiss America at the number on your screen now to receive your free portfolio review and a copy of The Timeless Truth About Gold and Silver. Learn for yourself how easy it is to safeguard your money. Call or text Swiss America today.
Life can be unpredictable, and at some point, we all face hard times. If you're struggling with IRS or state tax debt, the real fear of wage garnishments, liens, or even bank levies can be overwhelming. But here's the good news. You have options. And Legal Tax Defense is here to help you navigate through it all. Their skilled team of tax defense attorneys help individuals and businesses dramatically reduce their tax debt. With Legal Tax Defense, your initial consultation is completely free. Their experts will deal directly with the IRS on your behalf. My advice, don't go it alone. The IRS won't wait, and neither should you. Put the tax pros at Legal Tax Defense on your team and get the tax resolution you need. So whether you owe $10,000 or $10 million, call Legal Tax Defense and schedule your free evaluation.
Call 800-409-6084. That's 800-409-6084.
What if you could tackle your dog's itching, paw licking, mushy poops, and low energy with a simple 3-minute change to their diet? Millions of pet parents are raving about Dr. Marty Nature's Blend, the anti-kibble breakthrough that's helping dogs act like puppies again.
Such a huge difference in her health. More energy, more playful, no more pooping issues.
He's healthier, he looks better. This is my way more energetic dog.
I'm Dr. Marty. I've been a veterinarian for more than 50 years. The dangerous ingredients added to many pet foods could be impacting your dog's lifespan. That's why I formulated Nature's Blend.
Now you can feed your dog wholesome cuts of real meat, vegetables, and fruit with no artificial preservatives or fillers. Unlike fresh food, Nature's Blend is gently freeze-dried. This means extraordinary health benefits, but with zero prep, zero fridge, and zero mess.
I just feed her right out of the bag. She's obsessed with this food. Thank you, Dr. Marty.
And for a limited time, get up to 54% off with our special TV offer. Call or go to drmartypets.com/TV.
Your Honor, I think this court's decision in IM versus CBP is instructive on this.
Am I wrong about anything I just said factually?
Your Honor, I think it's incorrect that they couldn't have gone into court as the 5 individual plaintiffs.
No, but the point here was that there were plane loads of people. I mean, it's a class action. There were plane loads of people. There were no procedures in place to notify people. Nazis got better treatment under the Alien Enemy Act than has happened here, where the proclamation required the promulgation of regulations, and they had hearing boards before people were removed. And yet here, there's nothing in there about hearing boards. There's no regulations, and nothing was adopted by the agency officials that were administering this. People weren't given notice. They weren't told where they were going, and they were given. Those people on those planes on that Saturday had no opportunity to file habeas or any type of action to challenge the removal under the AEA. And like you've agreed that 2 of those airplanes, people were removed under the AEA. Is that?
But second, I think that the procedural one still challenges fundamentally in core habeas. It says you may not do anything to me under the AEA until you satisfy these preconditions. You are utterly without power to do so. I mean, that is the same sort of core habeas as asserting that a conviction is wrong because procedural requirements in a trial were not followed.
No, I don't think that's the same at all, because people don't go through a trial in this country without getting the gold standard of due process. And that was not happening here. I think that's a false equation. The problem here is that they are challenging implementation, the proclamation, in a way that never gave anyone a chance to say, I'm not covered. And if your argument is he didn't have to do that, it's an intrusion on the president's war powers, the courts are paralyzed to do anything, then that's a misreading of precedent. It's a misreading of the text of the Alien Enemies Act. And that can't be an unlawful intrusion on the president's powers. You just can't. The president has to comply with the Constitution and laws like everybody else.
On that, we certainly agree, Your Honor. I think that what has occurred.
It's a breakdown for us what happened today.
So, Alicia, today was an argument about certain issues in the case, but not others. So let's first set the table about what it wasn't about. It wasn't about whether the president lawfully used the Alien Enemies Act or whether, for example, it applies in peacetime. It wasn't about that. Wasn't about whether the Trump administration has violated the orders that Judge Boasberg set into place. And it certainly wasn't about what the remedy is for that. The question here today was, does a court have any role when a president invokes the Alien Enemies Act through a proclamation and then takes action to implement it, as the Trump administration did with those 2 flights of alleged Venezuelan migrants who are members of Tren de Agua? And today you heard 2 very different interpretations of that. You heard the administration saying, really, there is no role for the court here to play unless and until those who have already been placed in custody bring what's called a habeas petition. That's a fancy way of saying a petition for their release from U.S. custody. Then you had the plaintiffs, represented by legal learners of the ACLU, saying that can't be the only way that we can contest this. People are entitled to an individualized determination of whether or not they are in fact members of Tren de Agua, which is what you were talking about at the top. But it wasn't a question, for example, of whether or not we are at war with the Venezuelan government, whether Tren de Agua is an extension of the Venezuelan government. And I think the most interesting part of all of this came at the end when Judge Patricia Millett, who you just quoted with that respect to saying that Nazis were treated better than some of the Venezuelans here, really forced the government to acknowledge the government was in complete control of who was on the plane. And she asked them, given that, aren't these people entitled to some form of notice and a chance to contest that they are who you say they are before you deport them to El Salvador and put them in a notorious Salvadoran prison? And the answer, of course, the government was kind of trying to weave around it, but eventually he finally conceded, if you lifted this TRO, yes, there would be no limitations on what we could do. We would be within our rights to start these plane flights immediately again, and we could pack more Venezuelan migrants who are alleged members of Tren de Agua on a plane before they could even file a habeas petition or anything else. And that's a chilling thing for the government to acknowledge. But of course, that is exactly what they want to do and why they want the TRO lifted.
Chilling? I don't know if the American people think it's chilling. I think it's what they want, what they demand, and what they deserve. And President Trump's going to give it to them. Julie Kelly, your assessment that she actually compared and said that well, I'll let you take it. It so enraged me to listen to this today. But you saw these lefties that want to be commander in chief. They want to take over Trump's role. Julie Kelly, your thoughts?
So that was Obama appointee, another gem of an Obama appointee, Patricia Millett on the D.C. Circuit Court, the appellate court. And she had her soundbite ready to go, just like we heard from Judge Flo Pan during the presidential immunity oral arguments before a 3-judge panel of the D.C. appellate court. Remember when she said, does this mean the president can use SEAL Team 6 to go kill his political opponents? And that became the headline. So Patricia Millett picking up on her fellow Democratic appointee and then throwing this chum in the water that somehow these illegal Venezuelans who are tied to Tren de Agua are treated worse than Nazis. Now, I'm not sure the American people, number one, would view it that way, or number two, have a big problem with terrorists here in America illegally tied to a very dangerous, deadly gang cartel in Central and South America. I don't know that they would have such a big problem with them being removed without what they call due process. I actually think Lisa Rubin gave a pretty good summary without her editorializing there of what happened today. And look, these are very complicated issues that Judge Bosberg should have been more careful in his handling of. But of course, he wasn't, Steve. He leapt into action last Saturday. This lawsuit we found out today by the ACLU, the lawsuit that was filed to stop these deportations and halt these flights, was filed at 2 a.m. on Saturday morning. Now, the president had signed the Alien Enemies Act proclamation Friday night. However, it was not published until Saturday afternoon on March 15th, around 3 o'clock. So the ACLU had this ready to go because, of course, the administration has already designated TDA as a foreign terror organization. They knew that this was coming. I'm not sure they knew the specific proclamation that would cover these Venezuelan illegals. But then Judge Bosberg, he said at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning, this is last Saturday the 15th, then jumped into action, called both sides, the Department of Justice and the ACLU, immediately entered a temporary restraining order, halting the deportation of 5 of the unnamed Venezuelan illegals who were plaintiffs in the ACLU lawsuit, filed that temporary restraining order immediately, and then called a 5 p.m. status hearing for Saturday evening, after which he entered another TRO, turning those 5 plaintiffs, those 5 Venezuelan illegals, into a class action lawsuit that covered every single Venezuelan illegal who would have been subject to the president's Alien Enemies Act proclamation. So here we are, 8 days later, this has been rushed through the process. And these 3 judges on the appellate panel, including Patricia Millett, trying to figure out whether that temporary restraining order, which is usually not appealable, will this 3-judge panel vacate or put a stay on that temporary restraining order, as some of these more what the Democrats and the activists and the judges have made very complicated related to the president's obvious his authority, executive authority in issuing that proclamation.
What the purpose of this is because there's all over. We got dozens of these, but on this one, they actually want to have the president reverse. What they would only be happy with is get the prisoners out of the El Salvador prison, walk them back to a plane, fly them to the United States, and let them stay here essentially in perpetuity as they work through the due process rights for thousands of these people, eventually tens of thousands, because we have 10 million to deport. Is this they want to stand between Trump and being commander in chief? Is that what they're driving at? Because it kind of confused me today that it's very obvious. They don't want Trump to be commander-in-chief. That's obvious. So they want to step in and have the courts take that role. Is that the point of this exercise?
Yes, this is one part of it. And of course, Jeb Bosberg, who is the chief judge of the D.C. District Court, we've been reporting and talking about for over a week how partisan he is. There was a huge report on Just the News that confirmed that Jeb Bosberg attended an event in Idaho, a conference in Idaho, the week after Joe Biden dropped out of the presidential race, an event that was sponsored by well-known anti-Trump resistance figures and major donors who have been behind some of this lawfare and attacks against the president for the better part of a decade. Jeb Bosberg attended that conference. I also reported last night that in December, he received an award from the DC Bar Association. You're familiar with them. Of course, this really vengeful, aggressive DC Bar Association that disbarred Rudy Giuliani is still trying to disbar Jeff Clark and went after several Trump attorneys. Now, Jeb Bosberg winning a big award from them just a few weeks before the inauguration.
Hang on one second, Julie. Just want to hold you through the break. Mike Davis is going to join us on this topic. A short commercial break. We'll return in the War Room in just a moment.
I'm Lou Diamond Phillips. There are so many veterans out there who have experienced life-changing injuries, who are now waiting for hope to ignite again. Together, we can be that spark.
Hey, just want to say thank you for your service.
Yeah, sure.
I'm sure you've heard that before, but we want you to know that we understand the freedoms and liberties in this country are because of people like you who served and gave everything for the cause of freedom. We don't take that lightly. So thank you for everything you've done and sacrificed for us.
Thank you so much. That means a lot to me.
We're ready for our ticket.
It's been paid.
People thank me for my service all the time, but I want to thank you for being someone
worth fighting for. You make it all worth it. If you really want to thank me and other veterans like me, go to helpdav.org and support disabled American veterans. That is the best way to say thank you to our nation's heroes.
Please call or go online to helpdav.org right now and give your monthly support of only $19. When you do, we'll send you this DAV blanket as a thank you and a reminder that you support those who served. Join me and other patriotic Americans and donate only $19 a month, just 63 cents a day. Please call or go online to helpdav.org. Your support in this moment honors our veterans' service.
The FBI calls it house stealing, the latest scam where a cyber thief transfers the title of your home out of your name and steals your hard-earned equity.
It's roughly 60 to 90 days for that person to even figure out that they're the victim of this crime. You start getting foreclosure notices and you realize you've got 4 mortgages on your house that you didn't even know existed.
Unfortunately, it's on you to protect yourself. You might already be a victim. Check your title status now at HomeTitleLock.com.
Are you having trouble hearing your TV or listening to conversations in loud spaces? Then it might be time to consider Nano hearing aids. Nanos are FDA-registered OTC hearing aids. Don't be fooled by overpriced hearing aids. Prescription hearing aids could cost $3,000 or more. Nano hearing aids are now offering $100 off through this special TV offer. Call now and get 2 CIC rechargeable hearing aids for only $297. And if you're not happy, return them for a full refund.
War Room. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Julie Kelly, what they want, these radical Democrats and these Marxist judges, they want to bring everybody back, coddle them, and ask them, are you part of the terrorist gang? No, I'm not. I'm not. And then keep them here for 3 years. You can tell how this is playing out, and it's absolutely against the national security of the United States. So what is actually on the table? They have to make a decision on just the TRO? Is that where we stand?
Right. So this is an emergency motion to put on hold these temporary restraining orders pending going through the entire appeal process of this lawsuit. So this would be it would be a temporary hold on this. And then that's what they disclosed today, is that if there is an administrative stay put on the TRO's pending appeal, now they could add some caveat to that. Mike Davis could probably speak to that, but then what would hold back the Trump administration from restarting this deportation process? They wouldn't. So I think that's what you heard.
Hang on. Of course they're not. But what do you mean restarting? Didn't we just send a plane to Venezuela and they accepted them before we hit them with a 25% tariff on their oil?
Right. But they said those individuals were not covered by this proclamation. Everything goes to this proclamation that was published last Saturday with the president invoking the Alien Enemies Act. Yeah. And so that's what is affected by this temporary restraining order.
Ship them. They should just ship them all out and let the courts throw a fit. You got to get these terrorists out of here. Julie, Substack, your commentary, you followed this thing entirely today, and it was quite complicated, ma'am. Where do people go?
So my Substack, Declassified with Julie Kelly, I'll have a piece up on this tomorrow. And also, of course, Julie_Kelly too, covered the oral arguments blow by blow today. We'll probably have some more thoughts on it tonight on X, but that's where people can find me. And I'm sure I'll be talking to you soon.
Julie, great job. Thank you for doing this today, breaking it down for us. That's on that topic. Scalise just put out, Steve Scalise, they're going to vote on the national TROs and injunctions on the judges next week, he just said. Steve Scalise, that's a victory for you, but we got a bit bigger victory. And it shows you that maybe you're signing up for Home Title Lock, you're not worried about getting your title. Go to Home Title Lock, Steve 25 for the triple lock protection, $1 million triple lock protection, 24/7 coverage. If anything happens, alert immediately, even in the early hours of the morning, and they got $1 million restoration if all else fails. HometitleLock.com, Steve 25. Talk to Natalie Dominguez and the team, because 80% of your net worth is tied up in that piece of paper. Don't let anybody get their hands on it. You did great work, folks. Let's play. We got a clip, couple of clips before Mike Davis joins us. Let's hear him.
What we're trying to do is take legislative action. 2.5 weeks ago in the Judiciary Committee bill, we passed legislation which said instead of these federal district judges issuing an injunction that applies to the entire country, we think it should be limited to the parties of the case in that respective jurisdiction. It's Congressman Ice's bill. It's a good piece of legislation. We passed it 2.5 weeks ago. Speaker Johnson's indicated he'd like to get this bill to the floor next week and move it through the process. So we think there's some things we can do legislatively. And then, frankly, there's the broader issue of all these judges' injunctions, and then decisions like Judge Boasberg, what he's trying to do and how that case is working. We're going to have hearings on all of that, because particularly when you look at Judge Boasberg, it starts to look like this is getting totally political from this guy, particularly when you remember he's also the judge who was part of the whole Trump-Russia FISA court, granting those warrants that allowed the Comey FBI to spy on President Trump's campaign. So we're going to look at that issue as well, but hopefully we can get that bill passed next week on the House floor, move it to the Senate, hopefully get it to the president's desk.
We have the deportation of violent Venezuelan gang members. A federal judge blocked the administration's attempt to remove them. The president put in place, as he did last time in his first term, a policy removing transgenderism from our nation's military. And we have a judge stopping that. I mean, this is an issue of national security and defense. Where do we draw the line?
Yeah, I mean, some of these decisions are as dangerous and egregious as they are unconstitutional. And these are very high stakes. You're right. Article 2 defines clearly the scope of the executive authority, and it is broad. There are checks and balances, obviously separation of powers in our system, but the courts were never intended to be able to step in and act as though they are the commander-in-chief themselves. No individual federal judge should be able to enjoin what a president is doing in the way that is being done. I mean, when you're talking about, the president serving as the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, that is the president's prerogative. It is the president's policies that he can enforce, and not some judge that's not involved in the military at all. That's not how this works. So, look, I think that we're going to have to send a message. Congress is going to have hearings very soon, probably as early as maybe the end of next week, as soon as we can schedule them, to look at this issue, to look at the judicial abuses, and to highlight some of the most egregious examples. I think we've got to bring about a change. And ultimately, speaking of the powers under the Constitution, Article 1 is the legislative branch. That's Congress. And in our branch, we can limit the jurisdiction of courts. Right. We can limit the existence of entire courts. So if they push us to take extreme measures, we will. And I think you're going to see a lot of discussion about that in the days ahead.
Mike Davis, 2 big wins. They're going to put this bill up about the nationwide TROs. I think it's coming from Daryl Issa. And then we're going to have this hearing. Jim Jordan tells a hearing, and I think we're going to get some judges that are answer a few questions. Anyway, 2 big wins for the posse and Mike Davis. Was Mike Johnson reading out of your scripts, or did you have that the great Tony Perkins asking the questions over there at Salem, and you and he went off your script, sir?
I think Mike Johnson had on the Article 3 project puppet strings as he was doing that, and I'm joking. With all due respect to the speaker, no, this is very positive. What's happening with Jim Jordan and Speaker Mike Johnson in the House of Representatives, it's really important that the House and Senate step up and rein in these activist judges who are sabotaging the president's core Article 2 executive powers. They think they're the last line of resistance because they lost the election. They lost the House again. We won the Senate with a comfortable margin. President Trump has a broad electoral mandate to root out waste, fraud, and abuse, to secure our border, to fight terrorism.
But hang on, the left's going crazy right now, or blowing up. Specifically, to the best of your ability, what exactly has the head of the Judiciary Committee and the Speaker of the House committed to? Not on the voting, on the ISA, what Steve Scalise said about you can't have these crazy judges, you got to get a 3-part panel, whatever that works out. I'm talking about the impeachment. Johnson has been reported all week, he doesn't want to do impeachment. What has he empowered Jordan to do, and what has he said he's going to have his back on, sir?
Well, I mean, Jim Jordan is opening hearings and considering legislation, and I think that's important. But what we can't do is we cannot take the impeachment probe off the table. That is important to have that leverage. That's important to have that sword of Damocles over the judiciary's head. And I've been there. I've been the chief counsel for nominations on the Senate Judiciary Committee, with the oversight portfolio, the upper chamber, the chamber that actually knows what they're doing. And if you don't have that leverage, you're not going to get the Chief Justice's attention. So you need to go after this on multiple fronts. You need to go after with impeachment inquiries. Even if they don't have the votes to impeach and remove, who cares? Make the process the punishment. Let this serve as a deterrent to other activist judges. I'd rather have judges fighting an impeachment probe than trying to sabotage the president of the United States during an ongoing national security operation. And then you have the funding. So the impeachment probe, you have the funding mechanism where you're going to cut off their funding. You also have jurisdiction stripping, where you're going to say that, for example, the D.C. District Court does not have the jurisdiction to handle these types of cases. And then you just have good old congressional oversight. Any of those 4 things will get the Chief Justice's attention. All 4 of them at once will make him panic. And that is the point. If the Chief Justice would simply follow the Constitution, follow Rule 65 of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure on injunctions, and get his judicial house in order, we wouldn't be talking about any of this.
Is this the beginning of maybe all 4? I realize the hearings maybe support some of this legislation, but are the hearings going to get into judicial overreach and potentially the beginning of, hey, we could flip this into an impeachment inquiry, sir?
I mean, look, I think there's evidence right now to impeach D.C. Obama Judge Jeb Boasberg, because not only was he issuing lawless temporary restraining orders, as these activist judges call these permanent injunctions, or these executive orders that they're illegally issuing, or their legislation that they're illegally enacting. It was very dangerous. Judge Boasberg exposed an ongoing national security operation, military intelligence law enforcement operation 2 Saturdays ago. That put American lives in danger, along with the lives of our allies. This judge ordered planes to get turned around over the Gulf of America. He didn't know the fuel levels. He didn't know the security footprint we had in America. We saw the security footprint in El Salvador, ready to take 200 plus of the worst terrorists in the Western Hemisphere. We didn't know what that security footprint was in America, because I seriously doubt we expected a judge would go run into his chambers on a Saturday and expose an ongoing operation and interfere with that operation, sabotage it in order to return of planes. And so this also harmed the president's ability to conduct foreign affairs on behalf of the country. How does a foreign leader trust the American president to have secret deals like this terrorist handoff, if the foreign leader's worried that an activist judge is going to publicly expose it and turn around the planes and humiliate this foreign leader who has his neck on the line physically and politically back in his home country? He has several hundred government officials waiting for these terrorists, and they don't show up, and he looks like the biggest idiot on the map. I mean, this is why the Supreme Court has long held that federal judges need to stay out of these military operations. They have to stay out of these foreign affairs. They don't have the ability to do this. That's why these powers are committed to the president and the president alone. And Boasberg keeps doubling down.
Okay.
Boasberg is now demanding information about this operation.
No, detailed information, but you tell me, give me your assessment of the appellate situation today. The two appellate lawyers, not the guy that's a McConnell guy, but particularly the head judge there, was all over this. They're once again, I mean, they want to come back and pat everybody on the head and give them full due process and ask them if they've been a good boy and were they terrorists or not. I mean, it was a joke. Is this my overreaction, or does it seem like they want to get more involved than Boasberg is, sir?
Look, I would say this. If the president of the United States, as the commander-in-chief, does not have the power under Article 2 of the Constitution to expel foreign terrorists the hell out of our country, then whatever statute, whatever regulation, whatever judicial decision that is supposedly in the president's way is clearly unconstitutional. It's clearly illegal. The president has no higher duty than to repel invasion of our country. And we have the worst terrorist in the Western Hemisphere, Trende Aragua. You have the president making a finding that they're working with the government of Venezuela and they are invading our country and raping and kidnapping and torturing and murdering Americans. Any judge who thinks they're going to get away is going to have a problem with the American people.
Hang on for 1 second, Mike. I know you got to bounce. We're just going to hold you for a second through the break. Mike Davis on the other side.
Spread the word all through Hong Kong. We will fight till they're all gone. We rejoice when there's no more. Let's take down the CCP.
Navage, allergy relief that works.
So when you're dealing with allergies and you've got that stopped up feeling and you can blow your nose and it's a little bit better, using the Navage takes it all away. Put the water in the top chamber, put the pot in, close the lid, put it in your nose, push the button, you're done. I love Navage. It's natural. It's effective, it's fast, probably the best investment you could make if you suffer with allergies.
Pick up Navage, the #1 doctor-recommended brand.
Wounded Warrior Project empowers post-9/11 veterans and their families with life-changing programs and services.
I faced my PTSD, and I'm a better husband and father because of it.
We help warriors get the expert care and support to thrive.
I got involved. I got healthier. I got to be an athlete again.
Through our programs, community, and advocacy, we're proving
anything is possible.
Learn more at woundedwarriorproject.org/connect.
Are you sitting right now? It could be harming your health. Back pain, stress, and serious health risks can build up from sitting too long. But motion changes everything. Introducing Ready Rocker with its patented Rock Perfect design that supports your spine as it helps improve posture, relieve back pain, boost circulation, and release endorphins for your overall well-being, no matter where you are. Lightweight, portable, and covered in memory foam, Ready Rocker instantly transforms any chair or space into a healthier sitting experience.
Sitting too long isn't just uncomfortable, it's unhealthy. With Ready Rocker, we make sitting a healthier experience for people of all ages.
From soothing babies to helping with posture, back pain, and stress, we discovered that rocking can truly improve lives.
Sitting is the new smoking. A sedentary lifestyle, whether you're sitting at a desk or in a vehicle all day, is not good for the body to just stay in that same position. And that's why the Ready Rocker is so effective. The rocking motion constantly keeps you active and helps you ease pain, reduces stress. It actually releases endorphins in the brain. It's a mood booster.
I used to be in pain all the time, but with Ready Rocker, I felt relief and I'm in a better mood. I take it everywhere.
I can literally feel the stress being taken off my joints while rocking.
My back stopped hurting, my arthritis felt better. It's just wonderful.
Now you can join the movement that's changing lives and helping thousands find relief. Call now or go online to get 35% off your purchase. We'll even ship it for free. Plus, you'll get this bonus seat cushion.
Ready Rocker is changing lives one rock at a time.
Now it's your turn to experience the relief for yourself.
Call 1-800-592-1572 or go to GetReadyRocker.com. That's 1-800-592-1572 or go to GetReadyRocker.com.
Call now.
War Room. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
War Room Posse being at the ramparts because, Jim Jordan, these guys won't move unless you nudge them. And I guess they got the nudge because we're going to take some action this week. And, of course, the engine room's telling me, is this going to be a 2-year investigation? They're going to put a strongly worded report at the end. Well, not if we do our jobs, I guess. Mike Davis, what is your recommendation? People need to keep the pressure on this. This is how we got this far. And we need to make sure all these hearings start focusing on the impeachment side, and we should have a couple of judges come up and just explain what in the hell they've been doing. Sir.
Yeah, I mean, if these judges want to take off their political robes and climb into the political arena and throw political punches, then guess what? The Article 3 Project and the War Room Posse will gladly throw political counterpunches, and ours tend to land, and they tend to be fierce. And so, what I've encouraged the War Room Posse to do is to go to article3project.org, article number 3project.org, and do what we do best, which is take action. And there are a couple action items that will get their attention. Number one, that $2 billion that D.C. Biden Judge Ali, who they bragged is the first Muslim and the first Arab on the D.C. federal bench, this Canadian citizen to this day. I don't know how that happens, but we have a Canadian citizen on the federal bench in D.C. That $2 billion that Judge Ali pissed away and sent to his buddies in Hamas to kill Americans or to transgender mice in Durka land or wherever the hell he sent the money. Let's take that $2 billion out of the federal judiciary's $10 billion budget in the coming year. And so if they want to play political games, they'll get political prizes. And the second action item that we can take with the War Room Posse is call for the House to open an impeachment inquiry on D.C. Obama Judge Jeb Boasberg, who thinks he's the commander-in-chief, who thinks he's the air traffic controller, who thinks he can tell the president to turn around planes full of terrorists. It's amazing that these D.C. judges, as Julie Kelly's been talking about for years, it's amazing that these D.C. judges, these activist judges, care a hell of a lot more about the rights of Trende Aragua foreign terrorists than they did about Trump grandmas who trespassed and took selfies on January 6th.
Yeah, no, due process for the worst criminals on earth, the worst terrorists on earth. President Trump's putting on a plane, getting them the hell out of here, as is demanded by the American people and the security of this nation. Mike Davis, your social media. We're going to send everybody to Article 3 to read everything, get up on the ramparts. The pressure's working. The pressure campaign's working. But with these folks, you got to keep it on all the time. Social media, Mike.
One last thing. I think the president should put these terrorists, hold them temporarily at the Chevy Chase Country Club until these judges get their heads out of their asses and let the president get these terrorists out of our country. My social media is MRDDMIA, MRDDMIA, where I'm coming in hot, particularly late at night.
Burning Tree and Congressional. Let's do those two. Mike Davis, thank you so much. Appreciate you, sir.
Thank you.
Folks, you're winning on this one. You're grinding and winning on this one. Trevor Comstock, CEO, Sacred Human Health. This posse, we got to keep them healthy because the fights just now start. We got such a grind in front of us. What do you got for us today, brother?
Yeah, thank you, Steve. So today I just wanted to quickly touch on one of our more popular products that we've also been getting some great feedback on. And I know quite a few people have maybe heard of collagen before or have maybe even supplemented with it. But for anyone who isn't aware, collagen is the most abundant protein in our body. But unfortunately, as we age, we naturally produce less of it. So that's kind of where our multi-collagen supplement comes into play. It's essentially formulated with 5 different types of collagen and derived from 4 different sources of collagen as well. So you kind of get the full spectrum there. But the great thing is that our unique blend helps support everything from skin, hair, nails, all the way to joint health and gut function. So it's really designed to help your body essentially provide, or at least provide your body with that comprehensive range of collagen types So, for example, type 1 and 3 will help promote that youthful complexion, which is typically what collagen is known for and why people love it so much, while type 2 will support cartilage and joint health. So I always like to highlight, too, that what makes our collagen great is that it's free from artificial ingredients, so we can ensure that you're getting high-quality, clean collagen. So basically, whether you're looking to maintain your hair and nails or support your joints or just give your overall health a boost, our multi-collagen supplement comes in the easy-to-swallow capsule form. So you can take it with food or water. And for those, because we get a lot of messages of people mentioning that they're not very good at swallowing pills, you can always open the capsules as well and just mix in water. It tastes fine that way as well. But, I always like to highlight, too, I've always been a big fan of collagen. I've been taking it for the past 6 years of my life. I've always had great results with it. I think it gives my skin that extra shine, which people sometimes compliment me about. But, of course, if you're taking the beef liver, you're already 10 steps ahead. But this is, the beef liver will also help with incorporating those essential nutrients like the amino acids, the peptides, as well as the vitamins and minerals. But the collagen is a great addition to your health stack. And something that I can't recommend enough.
Let's send them to the website because we answer many questions there, and this audience always wants to know about the questions. Also, their discount. What do you got for them?
Yeah, so you can go to sacredhumanhealth.com. You can plug in code WARROOM for 10% off any one-time purchase. Of course, if you subscribe to any products, you're automatically locked in that 10% discount. You don't need to apply anything. You can also type in Sacred Human to Google. You'll find us, as well as any social media will pop up as well. But if you guys have any questions, just send us a message directly through our website, and we'll get back to you. But there is a ton of information about the collagen as well as our other products, so you can check it all out.
Make sure you get to send them an email. Trevor's available, rest of the management team. They will answer your questions. Sacred Human Health. Trevor, thank you so much for joining us on a Monday.
Appreciate it.
Kick off this week. Big day, cabinet meeting. President Trump called the greatest leader, since Constantine the Great. Not a bad day. Tough day in the courts. This courts things we got to get sorted. Get up to the ramparts. You're going to make a difference here. This thing's got to get sorted. To delay is to deny. Also, you heard Scott Besson right there. We're going to talk more about Scott in the next hour. The consolidation of power and treasury. Gold has been a hedge for 5,000 years. We're not here to sell you fish. We're here to teach you how to fish. The converging factors of geopolitics, capital markets, world economy, the driving central banks to buy gold at record rates. Birchgold.com/Bannon. Talk to Philip Patrick and the team at Birch Gold about why. Short commercial break. We'll return for the second hour in a moment.
When a cyber thief transfers the title of your home out of your name, it's a race against time to stop the theft of your hard-earned equity.
Many people don't know this has happened until long after it's done.
You as the homeowner think you still own a house. 3 months later, you start getting foreclosure notices and you realize you've got 4 mortgages on your house that you didn't even know existed.
So when's the last time you checked on the title to your home? Find out if you're already a victim at HomeTitleLock.com.
Hi, Chef Daniel Green here with Rice Robot, the 1, 2, 3 rice cooker. Watch. 1, add the white cup for rice. 2, add the blue cup for water. 3, click it and let Rice Robot perfectly cook it. The secret is perfect cook technology for even cooking. Then Rice Robot senses when it's done, auto stops and keeps it warm to serve. It won't burn, overcook or undercook, guaranteed.
Get the complete Rice Robot cooking system, all for just $39.